This week we're talking about the one laptop per child program and the use in the classroom. I think that overall the concept is appealing and it is really important for the direction of worldwide connectivity for students to have access to laptops. And not just a couple of students or a couple of schools, but for every school. And so I believe that it should be something that schools supply to children. But there are some concerns that go with that. So I'm going to kind of explore that. So, first of all, obviously the world is increasingly reliant on technology. So, when you give students the ability to develop those technology skills and socializing through that, it helps them to be ready for work, further education, and things like that. So, having that access for students is really vital. Some students don't have access to technology at home. Maybe they just don't have a cell phone or a computer at home for the family. So, giving them the ability to have access and maybe bring the laptop home with them would be super helpful so they can work on homework or continue to develop those skills outside of the classroom. I think that a main concern would be that some students are not super responsible with physical textbooks, and so I'd be worried about students losing laptops, breaking them, and then maybe not paying replacement fees or repair fees, which could add to school debt, which is already a big issue anyways. As far as the one laptop per child program, it was super interesting. I've never heard of that before. I love that it's something that is accessible for developing countries. And the EXO laptop in particular sounded fascinating, how you don't need a power source or Wi-Fi to be able to do education for those students. And I think it is important for those developing countries to have that access. But I think on the flip side that there's places in America that need that as well. So there's poor communities, there are rural communities that need access to computers. Their website says, by giving children their very own connected EXO laptop, we are giving them a window to the outside world, access to vast amounts of information, a way to connect with each other, and a springboard into the future. And I agree with that. I think it is really important to connect students, and especially if they're in a developing country, they need that access as well for the future of their country. So I think it is important, but I also think it could be applied to America. A concern of that would be that there might be too much reliance on technology and kind of a shift away from traditional school work, which is important still. And so we've kind of talked about before that we want to find a good balance and don't want to overuse technology in the classroom. So I would still agree with that. And the one-to-one computing, what does it bring to schools article kind of talks about how, one school that might be wealthier in America as a basis for a study of how successful this is doesn't necessarily apply to a rural school or a poor school that doesn't have the same access to nice technology or things like that. So I would also kind of agree that's a concern that one model doesn't necessarily fit all models. So overall, I would agree that I think the one laptop per child scheme is important and really vital, and there's definitely a way to implement that.